The coffee shop smelled of cinnamon and burnt espresso, a Tuesday afternoon refuge for those avoiding the relentless pace of real life. Amara Williams sat in the corner booth, deliberately slouching in an oversized, pilling red sweater that had seen better days, probably back in high school. Her dark, curly hair was pulled back in a messy bun that wasn't the fashionable kind, just the I gave up kind. She had chosen her oldest pair of jeans and wore absolutely no makeup. Her warm, dark skin was bare, and she checked her phone for the third time in 5 minutes. Her best friend Jasmine had set up this blind date, and Amara had agreed only to stop the incessant nagging. After 3 years of failed relationships and one spectacularly disastrous engagement to a man who had emptied her savings account before disappearing, Amara had developed a foolproof strategy: look as unappealing as possible on first dates. If a man couldn't handle her at her absolute worst, he didn't deserve her at her best. Mostly, she just wanted to get through the next hour without another disappointment. The door chimed, and Amara glanced up, expecting to see some average guy in khakis, Jasmine's usual type. Instead, the atmosphere in the room seemed to shift, the air growing heavier. A man walked in wearing an impeccably tailored black Mafia suit with a crisp, stark white-collared shirt. He didn't just walk, he prowled with the quiet, lethal confidence of a predator who had never questioned his place at the top of the food chain. He was tall, Korean, with high cheekbones and dark hair swept back perfectly. He scanned the coffee shop, his gaze sharp and calculating, like he was assessing threats rather than looking for a date. Their eyes met. He didn't look away. A faint, almost imperceptible smile touched his lips, and he walked directly toward her table. Amara, his voice was low, carrying a smooth baritone that commanded attention without being loud. I'm Daehyun. Jasmine said you'd be in the corner booth. Amara's mouth went dry. This couldn't be right. Jasmine had described her blind date as a businessman who was recently single and needed a friend. This man looked like he had just stepped out of a noir film, or perhaps a federal indictment hearing. He looked dangerous. She glanced down at her ratty red sweater and wanted to disappear into the cracked leather booth. That's me, she managed, not standing up. You can sit if you want. Or not. I mean, if you need to leave, I totally understand. Daehyun's smile widened slightly, softening the hard edges of his face. Why would I leave? I just got here. He slid into the booth across from her with a fluid grace that made her even more nervous. I have to say, Jasmine didn't mention you had the most expressive eyes I've ever seen. They are captivating. Amara blinked, confused. Are you sure you have the right Amara? Amara Williams, 25, works at Lincoln Elementary as a third-grade teacher. Lincoln Elementary loves true crime podcasts, has a cat named Langston, and makes the best peanut butter cookies in the city. Daehyun leaned back, completely relaxed despite his stiff, formal attire. That is exactly what I was told. The cookie thing intrigued me most. Despite herself, Amara felt a small smile tugging at her lips. Jasmine talks too much. Jasmine is a talented logistics coordinator for one of my subsidiaries, Daehyun said, his eyes never leaving hers. I have learned to trust her instincts. Your company? Amara's heart sank. Of course, he was Jasmine's boss. Let me guess. You own a consulting firm? Corporate restructuring? Boring spreadsheets? Something like that, Daehyun said vaguely, waving a hand. Import-export, logistics, security solutions. It is a demanding life. I would much rather hear about third graders. I imagine they are far more entertaining than executives worrying about profit margins. A barista appeared at their table. Daehyun ordered a black coffee, his tone polite but final, and Amara ordered a chai latte, immediately feeling pretentious next to his simplicity. Once the barista left, Daehyun leaned in slightly. I have a confession to make. Here it comes, Amara thought. The polite exit. The you seem nice, but speech. I told Jasmine not to describe me to you, he said. I asked her to keep it vague. I have had experiences with women who are more interested in my position than in me. It gets exhausting pretending you don't notice when someone's eyes light up at the mention of influence rather than something you have actually said. Amara studied him carefully. There was something genuine in his expression, a weariness behind the sharp, intelligent eyes. She recognized that look. She had seen it in her own mirror after Trey left, the bone-deep tiredness that comes from being betrayed by people you trusted. Jasmine didn't tell me anything except that you were single and could use a friend, Amara said honestly. I almost canceled 3 times. I'm not really in a dating place right now. Or ever again, possibly. Bad breakup, theft, and abandonment combo special. The words came out more bitter than she intended. Sorry, I'm not usually this cynical. Or this underdressed, she gestured at her red sweater. Full disclosure, I dress like this on purpose. I've been sabotaging my own dates for 6 months. Daehyun laughed, a rich, genuine sound that made a few other patrons glance over nervously. That is brilliant. I wish I had thought of it. I once brought a bodyguard to a set-up dinner. It did not work. She tried to date him instead. Amara couldn't help but laugh. You did not. I absolutely did, he said, his dark eyes sparkling. The relationship lasted 2 weeks before she asked if I could use my connections to get her brother out of a gambling debt. That is when I knew the bodyguard strategy had failed. They talked for an hour, then 2. Daehyun asked about her students, and Amara found herself telling stories about 8-year-old drama and the politics of playground kickball. He listened like she was describing strategic warfare rather than mundane elementary school life. When she asked about his work, he spoke in broad strokes about managing family interests and keeping order, making it sound like high-stakes diplomacy. I should probably go, Amara finally said, noticing the coffee shop was preparing to close. I have lesson plans to finish. Can I see you again? Daehyun asked the question with a directness that caught her off guard. Maybe somewhere you feel comfortable dressing however you want. Though I have to say, that red sweater is growing on me. It suits you. Amara hesitated. Every instinct screamed to say no, to protect herself, to not risk another heartbreak. But something about Daehyun felt different. Maybe it was the way he looked at her ratty clothes and messy hair and smiled like she was exactly what he had hoped to find. Okay, she said quietly. But I choose the place, and I'm paying for myself. Deal, Daehyun said, standing and offering his hand to help her up. She took it, feeling the rough warmth of his palm against hers. As they walked toward the door, Amara's phone buzzed. A text from Jasmine. How's it going? Did you scare him off yet? Amara glanced at Daehyun, who was holding the door open for her, his expression hopeful and kind. She had no idea that the man she had just agreed to see again was one of the most feared men on the West Coast, or that his logistics business was a front for a massive syndicate. She didn't know that Daehyun was a Korean Mafia boss whose name appeared in FBI files, or that his last relationship had ended when he discovered his girlfriend was a mole for a rival gang. All she knew was that for the first time in 3 years, she felt a flutter of something that might have been hope. What Amara couldn't have known was that Daehyun had made a decision the moment he saw her deliberately slouched in that oversized red sweater, making no effort to impress him. He had found exactly what he had been searching for: authenticity. The following Saturday, Amara stood in front of her closet for 20 minutes. She had suggested meeting at the public library's used book sale, figuring it was casual enough to avoid pressure. She finally settled on dark jeans without stains and a soft cream-colored blouse. Minimal makeup, hair down in curls. When she looked in the mirror, she saw a polished version of herself. Daehyun was already waiting outside the library when she arrived. He wore dark jeans and a black Henley shirt, casual, but somehow still radiating danger and elegance. When he saw her, his face lit up. You came, he said, as if there had been doubt. I said I would. Amara adjusted her purse strap nervously. Plus, I never miss this sale. They spent 2 hours wandering through tables of books. Daehyun had an unexpected passion for military history and strategy, which Amara found fitting given his intensity. She introduced him to her favorite mystery authors. My grandmother got me hooked on mysteries, Amara explained. She used to say that mystery novels taught you the most important life skill, paying attention to what people don't say. A wise woman, Daehyun said, pausing at a table of old maps. My father taught me something similar, but about business. He said the best alliances happen when you listen more than you talk. Is that how you became successful? The question slipped out before Amara could stop it. Jasmine mentioned you do well. Daehyun's expression shifted slightly, becoming more guarded. Jasmine has a generous definition of doing well. But yes, I have been fortunate. My father started with very little. He taught me that power is just a tool. What matters is what you protect with it. There was something in his tone, a careful neutrality, that made Amara wonder what he wasn't saying. But she didn't push. They left the library with a stack of books each, and Daehyun suggested lunch at a diner nearby. Over burgers, he asked about her ex-fiancé. The question was gentle but direct. Trey, Amara said, the name still leaving a bitter taste. We were together for years. I thought I knew him. Turns out he'd been unemployed for 8 months and didn't tell me. He took out credit cards in my name, emptied our joint savings, and left a note saying he needed to find himself. She dragged a French fry through ketchup. The worst part wasn't the money, though that hurt. It was realizing I'd been so blind. I teach kids to recognize patterns, but I couldn't see the pattern in my own life. Daehyun reached across the table, his hand hovering near hers. You were not blind. He was a skilled liar. There is a difference. What about you? Amara asked. Jasmine said you're recently single too. Ji-yoon, Daehyun said, his jaw tightening. We were together for a year. She was elegant, sophisticated. Then I discovered she had been sharing my private schedule with competitors. Nothing illegal, technically, but it compromised my family's security. Amara's chest tightened. That's horrible. It taught me a valuable lesson, he said, his voice dropping. I have been avoiding dating since then. Until Jasmine cornered me and told me she had a friend who needed someone honest. 3 weeks into dating Daehyun, Amara's carefully constructed normal life began to crack. It started small. A black SUV parked outside her apartment building. Men in suits standing on corners near her school. Jasmine looking increasingly nervous. Then, the article dropped. Amara was in the break room when a colleague shoved a phone in her face. Amara, is this you? The headline read, The Syndicate's New Lady? Korean Mafia boss Daehyun Kim spotted with mystery woman. Amara's stomach turned as she scrolled through the article. It identified Daehyun not as a consultant, but as the head of the Kim organization, a powerful Korean mafia family controlling shipping lanes and underground gambling across the state. It speculated about her motives, calling her a sugar baby or a civilian shield. This is insane, Amara whispered. Mafia boss? He's just Dae. She called him immediately. Dae, tell me this isn't true. His voice on the other end was heavy. Amara, I can explain. I wanted to tell you, but I didn't want to scare you away. Scare me away? You're a mafia boss. That's not something you slip into conversation on the 3rd date. Please, he said. Let me fix this. Come to dinner at my house tomorrow. Meet my family. Once they see you are real, that we are real, the rumors will stop mattering. I teach children, Dae. I can't be associated with the mafia. I keep my world separate, he promised. You're safe. Please. Just one dinner. Against her better judgment, Amara agreed. She drove to the address he gave her, which led into the hills where the houses were hidden behind massive iron gates. Daehyun's estate was a fortress, cameras everywhere, guards at the perimeter. Daehyun met her at the door, wearing that signature black suit and white shirt. I am sorry about the security, he said. It is necessary. This is a bit much, Amara said, her voice shaking. I'm wearing a dress from a department store, and you live in a compound. You look beautiful, he said, taking her hand. My family can be difficult. My brother, Junho, is protective. And my mother, Madam Kim, has specific ideas about tradition. Inside, the house was cold and opulent. They were greeted by Madam Kim, a woman with steel gray hair and eyes that could cut glass. Beside her stood Junho, a younger, sharper version of Daehyun, who looked at Amara with open disdain. So, Junho said, skipping pleasantries. This is the teacher. Interesting choice, Hyung. Very. Civilian. Junho, Daehyun warned. Dinner was excruciating. Madam Kim asked pointed questions about Amara's lineage and finances. Junho made comments about gold diggers and liabilities. I'm curious, Junho said, slicing his steak with surgical precision. What attracted you to the boss? His money? Or the thrill of the criminal underworld? Amara set down her fork. She had spent weeks being polite, but she was done. Actually, she said, her voice steady. I didn't know who he was. I showed up to our first date in a red, pilling sweatshirt specifically to make him hate me because I was tired of men. I like Daehyun because he listens to me. He respects me. And frankly, if I wanted money, I wouldn't be dating a man whose job puts a target on my back. She looked directly at Junho. So forgive me if I'm not grateful for the interrogation. The table went silent. Madam Kim looked at Amara with something approaching respect. Junho looked stunned. Daehyun was hiding a smile. Well, Madam Kim said. She has a spine. That is good. Suddenly, Junho threw a file onto the table. A spine, maybe, but terrible judgment. Junho, what is that? Daehyun's voice was ice. I had her investigated, Junho said calmly. Did you know her ex-fiancé, Trey, didn't just steal her savings? He borrowed money from the Red Dragons. Massive gambling debts. And he forged her signature on the loan documents. Amara went cold. She owes $200,000 to our rivals, Junho sneered. She isn't here for you, Hyung. She's looking for a payout to save her life. Daehyun turned to Amara, his face pale. Amara, is this true? I didn't know about the Red Dragons, she stammered. I knew about the credit cards. I've been paying them off. I didn't know he borrowed from a gang. I can pay it, Daehyun said immediately. I will handle it. No. Amara stood up. I don't want your money. That's exactly what Junho thinks I'm here for. I am paying my own debts. These are not bank debts, Amara. Daehyun shouted, the mask of calm slipping. These people kill for less. Let me fix it. If you pay it, then I'm just another thing you bought, Amara said, tears stinging her eyes. I came here because I liked you. Not the Mafia boss. Just you. But I can't be part of this world if it means losing myself. She ran out of the dining room. Daehyun started to follow, but Junho blocked his path. Let her go. She's a liability. Get out of my way, Daehyun growled, shoving his brother aside, but Amara was already in her car, speeding away. 2 weeks passed. Amara went to work, looked over her shoulder constantly, and cried herself to sleep. Then, one evening, she found Daehyun waiting in her classroom after school. He looked tired, his perfect suit slightly rumpled. I'm not here to offer you money, he said quietly. Amara looked up from her grading. Then why are you here? To apologize. I should not have let my brother investigate you. And I should not have tried to strip you of your agency, he stepped closer. I respect that you want to fight your own battles. But you are fighting a war you do not understand. The debt to the Red Dragons. It has been transferred. Transferred. I bought the debt, Daehyun said. It is owed to me now. And as your creditor, I have decided to forgive it completely. Write it off as a bad investment by the previous owner. Daehyun, I told you. It is not charity, he interrupted. It is a wedding gift. Or a courtship gift. Call it what you want. I could not sleep knowing you were in danger. You're impossible, Amara said, but her resistance was crumbling. I am a Korean mafia boss, he corrected with a small smile. We are known for being stubborn. But I am also a man who loves you. I love that you wore that ugly red sweater. I love that you stood up to my mother. I love that you value your independence more than safety. He knelt down on the classroom floor, ruining his expensive suit trousers. I cannot promise a normal life. But I promise I will never treat you like a possession. We build a partnership. You keep me human and I keep you safe. Deal? Amara looked at him, this powerful, dangerous man kneeling between tiny third-grade desks. I'm keeping my job, she said. Agreed. And no more secret investigations. Agreed. And if your brother insults me again, I get to punch him. Daehyun laughed. I will hold him down for you. 6 months later, they were married in a private ceremony. It wasn't a massive mafia affair, but a quiet gathering. Amara wore a stunning white dress, but for the reception, she changed into a brand new, soft red sweater. Daehyun had established a legal aid foundation in her name to help victims of financial fraud, using the profits from his legitimate businesses. He was still the boss, still wearing the black suit and white shirt, and the world still feared him. But to Amara, he was just the man who loved her enough to let her be strong, and the only man who knew that the most dangerous thing in the room wasn't the mafia don, but the third-grade teacher who had stolen his heart.